Welcome to Season 2 of the Biz Show, sponsored by InvestQuire. And now, your hosts, Barry and Lisa.
Hey Barry, what's going on?
Hey Lisa, I'm doing good. How are you?
We usually say BB and Barry and Lisa
Eh,
Lisa.
Lisa, but stop saying berry. I tell you, it's a disease like scurvy.
I'm sorry about that. Okay, let's get serious. Let's get down to business because we have a guest speaker today that we want to
We
have on the show.
we do. This is episode 10 of season 2, and today we're going to spotlight George Ryessain, and he
Yeah,
is a serial entrepreneur. He's been in business
serial
managing
killer or serial entrepreneur?
entrepreneur. Did I say
Right.
killer?
No. Anyway, well, he could, he
Well,
could
an
always,
entrepreneur never gives all of his cards right away, so you never know.
You
he's
got to
got
hold some back, right? We
a
all
little
do. We all have cards that we're hiding.
time.
Well,
But anyway,
listen,
yeah,
welcome
it's
to.
a segue from our previous episode, right? How to build a business and how to get it going and how to be successful. So this is a great segue to get this interview today. So we're so thankful to have him here.
Yeah, we are. Thank you so much for joining us today, George. Appreciate it. And we want to drive in and get the inner workings of what makes you tick and your businesses tick, and find out how you handled some situations.
Cool.
So
Thank you for
George,
having me. Hope I can lend some useful information.
so his name is George Ryessain, and he
Yes.
joined a venture with me in the business of real estate, but he's got
Yeah.
quite an extensive background.
Yeah. A diverse background is always good to have. So, George, tell us, how did you decide to get into business for yourself?
Um, well, in 2007, when I graduated from Cal State Fullerton, I my ambition was to work in advertising, which I did for a couple years, and then the recession happened, and things changed. At the time, my parents had multiple gas stations, and the recession affected those businesses as well. I was kind of at a cross point. I had to talk to my parents. Um, Option one, I can continue doing what I'm doing. They planned on selling the businesses, and I'd be on my own. Option two, I can come in and try to salvage um, whatever we had left after and during and after the recession. So I gave it a shot. Um, Although I grew up um, growing up, my parents always did have gas stations. I was never really part of the day-to-day business, so it's quite a change for me. I was used to more white collar environment, usually hanging around graphic designers, and
Did you get a degree
I
at Cal
did,
State
I
Fullerton?
did, yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah, I definitely
And
majored.
you majored in what?
Accounting and graphic design.
Okay, got it.
Cool.
So he went into that field for a little while, and then I guess the family always pulls you in. They pull you into the business.
Well, this time the economy pulled me in. Somehow I got pulled in. So
Yeah.
to my dad's delight, he has an employee now that he can do whatever he wants with.
He's got
So
a lot of stories though, helping out the family and that business. So I
yeah,
think
a lot of stories, a lot of stories.
it's well
You,
rounded.
it's interesting that I actually worked for Shell Oil Company. I was a district manager up in Sacramento, and I
Okay.
had I had 44 food marts and gas stations back in the mid 80s. That was my
Nice.
territory that I ran.
Nice.
So I feel the pain sometimes in the gas station and the convenience store business and stuff like
I mean,
that.
it was a
So
tough
I can
transition
relate.
being sheltered, going to school, and then all of a sudden, you got code enforcers coming at you. You have city officials coming at you. Your employees turn around, they're putting $100 worth of scratches in their pockets, and I mean, the rude customers is like the last thing to worry about. So it was quite a transition for me.
It's that way in a business across the board, right? Even today, there's still a lot of that happening and going on. Not just that piece of it, but just there's so much for you to really keep your eye on, right? You got to keep your finger on the pulse of the business and watch and see what's happening and adapt, right?
Absolutely.
So,
So very
and
cool.
so you just really spoke about my next question was like, what were some of the challenges that were facing, and you just mentioned a couple of them. So
Yeah. He was definitely not in love with that industry, I don't think. Otherwise, you would still be doing it on a full-time.
No, I did like the industry. I did like the industry. Unfortunately, in the city where our gas stations were, Anaheim and Santa Ana, I was dealing with a lot of problems with city officials and code enforcers. Kind of, it was almost detrimental to be a business owner in those cities. It's almost frowned upon, like you're some bad guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah.
Isn't that the case in California, period? It's hard to be a business owner in California, period. There's so many
That was
regulations.
horrible. I remember, I think it was 2012 when I mean, man, I worked hard. I scratched and clawed to get a beer and wine license for our Anaheim location. I mean, the comments some of these board members were saying, it's like, really, guys, I'm just trying to make some money, and I'm a hands-on business owner. Nothing bad's going to happen if the construction worker gets a six-pack on his way home while filling up his truck.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, you guys should actually be happy you have a young business owner who's there 7 days a week, who actually cares about the community. I mean, I knew 70%, 80% of my customers. I knew their names. I knew their children. I'd actually help some of the kids after school with their homework. I mean, I don't see what can be detrimental to the city by having that type of a business owner acquiring a beer and wine license. But yeah, no, there's a lot of challenges. Nobody's on your side.
It sounds like you took customer service, uh, you know, uh, I lost my train of thought.
Well, when I
But
met
it
George,
sounds like
he
you took it
actually,
seriously, right?
yeah,
Well, that's the only like innate tool I have, is to make people laugh and talk to people. I guess it's based on my value system.
the only thing I have. When I met you, you were already licensed as a real estate agent,
Well,
working
my
in real estate a little
an innate
yeah,
tool, something
right.
that naturally
Is
comes to me.
natural and
Yeah.
organic.
And
So how
so
did
now,
you update?
I guess I'm just envious of you guys, always coming in the stations. Hey, do you want to sell with your fancy suits and nice cars?
so
Oh, don't
today
judge
now
my
you're working with Lisa and with Bella
Yeah.
Properties
Yeah.
and the agency, and you guys are really just pushing forward. You guys have built a big team there going forward. So I see that. I'm helping you grow part of that,
Yeah.
and I like the fact it's a dynamic team, and you guys You seem to work very well together. You know,
Yeah, so
so
part of that building, I asked them to touch on what their value proposition is. He just kind of touched on with regards to his customer service and people skills. He's a friendly guy. Everybody likes George. But we're also talking about branding your business and being marketable and having a presence in the community. And so George had this amazing idea. We were all sitting in the conference room one day, and he thought of this really cool branding. And so we're really trying to expand on that. We have a digital photographer guy coming in here in just a little bit. And George is going to be launching some videos around his branding. So I'd love George to touch on that and how that came about, what made you think of it, because it's kind of cool.
yeah, tell us, George, please, by all means.
Well, I think we're talking about the Top Shelf Tiki Lounge, right? Okay. Well, I think it's been a little over I mean, I always had a passion for creating sort of like a kind of an environment that kind of evokes escapism. So that's how I kind of built my gas stations. Like, they had a theme. Like, my Anaheim 76 had superheroes, statues all over the place. Our Mobile and 17th and Tustin was more of like a hot rod themed place.
Oh, they had themes. How fun.
Yeah, yeah. And
And that made you guys stand out. Probably not too many gas stations had some.
yeah, the people who noticed it, they enjoyed it.
Right.
They enjoyed it. So one of my passions is kind of like set design. And a few years ago, I started bartending just for fun at home. And I think it was 2019. At that time I was studying for the LSAT to begin law school, and I decided just to make an outdoor bar so I could study there. And then it turned into a full-on tiki bar.
Okay.
So there have been a lot of important things have happened at that tiki bar. We've bought businesses, we've sold business. It became like an unofficial kind of business meeting place for my parents, other family members. And I just decided that, I mean, well, not that I decided, when I started real estate. So I guess the difference between, for example, owning a gas station or having a bar is that people come to you. In this industry, I have to approach people. So that's a skill that I need to learn. That's my new challenge, how to have that confidence in approaching people. Because when people come to me, no problem. I flash a smile, I chit chat. It's a little challenging in real estate. I'm working on it. So that's when I decided to utilize social media, and I sat down. What am I good at? Well, I'm good at making drinks. So why can't we bring those two topics together?
So you thought of top shelf because you want to provide a very top level of an experience.
Yeah, top shelf is a term in the food and beverage industry. It refers to the best quality spirits, whether it's whiskey, rum, tequila. So if I were to tell you, hey Barry, come over, I got a nice top shelf bourbon. You're assuming I got some Blantons for you or some Pappy Van Winkle.
I like bourbon.
Yeah, cool.
I do.
So what's a typical day like for you now? Now that
Yeah,
you're
tell us
in
about that.
real estate.
Um, well, I have to get used to utilizing the proprietary software for my agency platform. So the marketing and the just the way I send emails and producing comps. I'm learning the mechanics. Definitely my biggest challenge is approaching people via cold calling and door knocking.
We were out there one day. George was quite a natural. He had people receptive to his conversation, which is huge in the industry because some people just get really turned away from salespeople because they're getting approached left and right from a sales angle, whether it's selling solar or washing your car, or we're always getting a text come through our phones, and so to actually walk up to somebody's door and door knock them, I mean, it really shows a commitment to your business and really a hardworking individual. So, like George has mentioned, he's, super friendly with people. So I think it kind of came natural for him as much as it was a nerve-wracking experience because it was his first time. But I did get to witness the receptiveness of people really enjoying him and the conversation. So, we're not out there to say, hey, let me sell your house today. We're out there to meet people. And I think, you're kind of learning that is really the name of the game, is just making long-term relationships that will think of you whenever they do know somebody that wants to do real estate transactions.
Some of the new challenges that I have, well, obviously I'm in a new industry, so there's new tools and skills that I need to learn. The tools, when I say tools, I'm referring just to the software involved as an agent,
Right.
and having a good eye for detail when it comes to producing comps for clients. Educating, that's a constant process for me as far as education wise. For example, when I go home, I start reading. I always brush up on some of the associated documents like RPAs, client, agent contracts, et cetera, et cetera. As far as the day-to-day duties, just approaching people is still challenging. It's I guess it's the same as.
I can completely understand that, right? I'm not a sales guy. I'm a relationship guy and a network guy, absolutely. And that's how I do a lot of my sales and stuff like that. But I'm not a sales guy per se, right? That's not my forte. It's not what I want to be. I'm more of a solve problems type of guy. So I feel you and I hear you on that. And, I give you kudos for wanting to step out of that comfort zone and move into that. It's tough.
It is empowering though, having the courage to knock on someone's door, they actually and they're receptive. It's a satisfying feeling.
I bet.
But of course,
so
these days,
what motivates you? I mean, what gets you out there to do that? And what's your motivation?
Honestly, my motivation is just enjoying life. If I can find some way to make passive income where I could still go out and surf a few times a week and just go hiking at the same time and making my clients happy, that's my motivation. It's nice. It's nice when you do something for someone and they're so excited, they're so grateful, and you know that you've made their life better. And I mean, life's for living. I mean, I was happy owning businesses, but what's the point when, I mean, I would work sometimes like literally 72-hour shifts, day, night, day, night, day, night, holidays. I mean, I blinked my eyes. I went from 28 to 40 years old. And yeah, I did build a foundation for myself. But there was a lot of sacrifices made.
You know, I hear you on that, and I think everybody can relate to that, including Lisa and our audience, in the sense that as you know, as you grow up and you learn who you are and what you want to do and stuff like that,
Yeah.
you learn that you gotta, I don't want to say put the work. I mean, you got to put the work in to get to where you want to get to. No one's going to do that work for you other than yourself. But you need that motivation of what gets you up in the day and what makes you happy. And so being able to go surfing and being able to do the things that you want to do and have kind of that luxury of setting your own schedule is a great thing to have. How do you stay on track though on that schedule? So because you do kind of set your own schedule, so and you have that motivation, but what keeps driving you?
I mean, the fact that I'm on my own now, essentially, this is how I'm going to survive.
Right.
So,
Right. And then perhaps a family gets involved and then now you got other people to support, stuff like that. It
mhm.
it becomes a challenge for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
So cool. Well, tell us, so now today you're working with Lisa and Bella Properties. You're just starting out. Now, how long have you had your license for? Your real estate license?
I think I received it May 7th of
Okay,
2020.
this year?
Yeah.
This year? Okay,
No, it was
cool.
this year actually.
So,
Yes, 2024. Yeah. Yeah, it was this
okay,
year.
cool. Well, you've hooked up with a really good teacher, right? Lisa is has been doing this a long time. She's really good at what she does.
Yeah, I love her
And
personality. She reminds me a lot of myself.
she's a go-getter for sure. And she's, not afraid to tackle anything. And her and I work well together. And I know that you're going to work well with her too.
Uh-huh.
And she's going to point out some really good things to you. She's taught me things. I'm not a real estate agent, right? I'm a management guy, but she's still taught me things that have I knew them or I didn't know them, but I've learned a lot from her. Hopefully she's learned some from me too, and hopefully she'll learn some from you as well.
Yeah.
So tell us more about this marketing ideal, right? So you mentioned that in your tiki bar and stuff like that. So how's that going to pertain to what you're doing today in the real estate?
Well, I mean, there's some similarities when it comes to cocktails and real estate. That's one of our pitches. For example, if I go to certain bars, there's certain bars I go to, and these are the only bars I go to because I know how to make a drink. There's really no reason for me to go somewhere else. But there's certain places I go to where I know there's quality. I enjoy the atmosphere, and I love the people there. So I think those elements are essential to be a successful real estate agent. Um, I mean,
So
I
you're
purchased
going
my
to,
home.
I was going to say, so as I understand it, you're going to kind of take some of that, you're going to mix it in with the real estate, and then you're going to create some type of a branding marketing and put that on
Absolutely.
the social media. Is that
Yeah,
is that
yeah.
what I understand? Okay,
So
cool.
we're going to have a combination cocktail of the day. And we're going to talk about a certain aspect of what we do. For example, how do you make the perfect cocktail? Well, you got to have fresh citruses. It's best to make your own syrup. Always get the top shelf liquor. How are you going to have that? How will you be able to successfully buy a home? You got to have the right lender. Escrow's got to do their job, and your agent's got to be on top of things. When you say something, the agent has to listen. So
Okay.
there's certain similarities. Your product has to be a quality product. It has to be built to spec, and it has to be served on demand.
Serving on demand is an interesting topic, right? Because in a service business and in a product business, there's always that product that the customer is looking to purchase from you.
Mhm.
And you need to be ready to sell it right then and there, right?
I mean, I can give you a perfect example. When I bought my house in 2010, um, I went with I went with a cousin of mine. So I think I was 28 at the time. He was probably 4 or 5 years older. Wasn't very aggressive. I'd have to call a couple times a day. And it ended up me probably working more. So I finally decided to go with another agent. And within a week, I opened escrow.
Ah,
So it's those kind of similarities. You're at a cocktail bar, you're paying $22 for a drink that costs $3 to make. I mean, the last thing you need is being treated poorly because it's your money. Money's money these days. Everything's expensive. And then you're going to get, a crappy drink that you can get at a dive bar.
Yeah. I'm in the wrong business if it costs $3 to make the drink and selling for 22.
Oh, yeah.
Last time I was in a bar, a mixed drink cost $7.
Times have changed.
Yes, they have.
So I guess, the bottom line is it's just that it is the strong attention to detail for your customer, your guest. I mean, even at the gas stations, like I said, for example, I mean, you can walk into any Joe Schmo gas station. Prices are cheap, you can go there. But when you walk in a gas station, the person behind the counter knows exactly what kind of cigarettes you smoke, knows what type of car wash you want, orders whatever drinks, for example, an energy drink or a certain kind of protein shake, and it's always there. Those are the things that are going to stand out in a super competitive environment. I mean, we don't have competitive industries in Southern California. We have a competitive environment.
Right.
I mean, okay, you get a business degree and you know Excel, big deal. I mean, my grandma knows Excel now. So you really got to get creative.
Yeah, your grandma's probably better at social media than you are, or half the people.
Yeah, she has a Facebook. She's like, why don't you friend me? Like, I don't get on Facebook.
It's
I'm becoming more of a hermit as I get older.
Yeah, you kind of do, because you get tired of minutia and all the things that get in your way in life, right? And so it's like, okay, I've learned I don't need that in my life. I don't need this in my life. Personally, for me, I don't really drink that much anymore. Save a lot of money in alcohol, right? I don't have to buy that. I've never smoked, so I've never spent money on cigarettes or anything like that. But we all have our vices. For me, it seems to be food. But
you're the only one.
Yeah, well, you need it to survive, but sometimes, you just probably need to eat the right amount instead of overindulging.
Go ahead.
No, tell me. Okay. Remember,
a craft cocktail isn't when someone has a craft cocktail, they're enjoying the drink. It's celebratory. It's a process. Like if you serve a really nice bourbon on a big cube, the profile is gonna change over time because, for example, if you drink something neat or straight up, so straight up means chilled in a glass without ice. Neat means a straight pour and then on the rocks. Mm-hmm. So when a bourbon is poured on the rocks, the flavor profile changes over time because it doesn't cool right away. It's just a quick pour, couple stirs. So you don't want to drink it quick. You're not drinking it to get drunk. You're enjoying the flavors. You're enjoying the change of the flavor profile of the drink, and it's just something just like a nice cigar.
Gotcha.
That's how I look at that's my vision for even if I get my own bar, it's not going to be like a dive bar and loud noise. It's going to be a very intimate setting.
And I think that's more enjoyable than a dive bar, if you will, and stuff like that. Yeah. But yeah, I know we digress into bars and stuff like that. Let me ask you this: recently, or perhaps this year, what has been a mistake that you learned early on, and how did you overcome that mistake?
In regards to the real estate industry, or in general?
Well, in general, and something from you from a business perspective, generally.
Okay. Well, I was a law student. I was a 2L upon withdrawal, which means my second year. And I'm not ashamed to say that the main reason I went to law school, I mean, I can argue that I have a passion for education, but I guess I was chasing my ego, managing businesses for over 20 years, you kind of build a callus. And I wanted that power as an attorney to kind of, how do you say, just, well, basically it just wasn't me, man. I was just chasing my ego and the prestige of being an attorney, but it was just not for my personality. I'm a process guy. I'm not an end result guy, if that makes sense.
No, it does make sense.
A lot of my colleagues at school, they were there to make money. They really didn't have, at least I think they didn't have the proper value system to be an attorney. And I
Okay.
saw myself being one of them too. So that's something I learned, that you got to follow your heart, or you're not gonna. At least somebody like me. Some people, if my heart's not in it, it's not gonna work out.
You know, I think that's a good, valuable piece of advice, which was going to be my next question. But, you know, a good piece of advice for everybody, right? If your heart is not in it, you know, and it's not a passion of yours, then you probably need to keep looking for what that is and what you want to do, so that, you know, you can be fulfilled. You might not be successful, and you may be successful, but you know, at the end of the day, you need to go to bed and feel good about yourself.
Yeah. And I remember when I bought my house, I was so happy. I was overjoyed. I remember it was a total fixer-upper. It smelled, the carpet was dirty, and I was in heaven. So if I can give that feeling to people,
Well, you
I'd be
know,
much happier than being an attorney.
and I'm sure over the 14 years now that you've had that, you've done a lot of remodeling and fixing
Yeah.
up and stuff like that. And it doesn't smell anymore, and it's not quite the dump
No,
it used to be.
no.
Very good. So, you know, you know, one of the last questions I asked was, what advice do you have? But we kind of just talked about that. So, you know, what is the biggest lesson that you have learned um, in being a business owner and becoming a real estate broker? What's the biggest lesson?
Um, if you have the blessing and the privilege of being a business owner, keep your pride at bay and your ego, because you don't know when you'll be on the other side.
Okay, very good. You know, um, being a business owner, you wear a lot of hats, right? And one day, yes, you're the CEO and you're the accountant and you're the payroll guy, and you may be up at the register doing, you know, ringing customers up. But also, you might have to go to the bathroom and clean a mess up in the bathroom too,
Exactly.
right? So
Exactly.
you got to be humble in the sense of whatever you're doing, it's for the greater good of
Yeah.
the business and yourself.
Yeah.
And there are going to be times it's going to be great and you're going to love it. And there's going to be times you're going to sit there and bang your head up against the wall. What the hell did I get myself into?
Yeah. I remember reading Johnny Cash's autobiography in 2010. And I think it was Merrill Haggard, an old country fellow, told Johnny Cash, when Cash was young, he was up and coming. He was on that circuit with Elvis and Jerry Lee Lewis. I think it was Merrill Haggard said, the higher you climb the ladder, the more your ass shines. I
You
never
know,
forgot
I
that.
like it.
But also as a
And
business owner too, I have to say this. I'm kind of embarrassed to say it, but you know, we all learn. Number one, I never built these businesses. I inherited them from my parents because they needed me because of the economy. But when you're young, it could kind of go to your head. And
absolutely.
sometimes I had a little bit of arrogance. And now being an agent and knocking on doors and sometimes not receiving the best reception, I remember sometimes I was a little rude to, let's say a rep from Arco came in, wanted to convert the 76 to an Arco. I
Mhm.
wasn't very pleasant, if you know what I mean.
I
So
do.
I've learned to communicate better.
I can relate to that, right? I was a helicopter pilot in the Navy, and when I was, I felt like I was Tom Cruise in Top Gun. But I was just a helicopter pilot, right? So I mean,
Yeah.
you know, we did anti-submarine warfare, dip sonar, hunting for subs, and we did sea and air rescue. But
Yeah.
yeah, you got to eat humble pie, right? And a
Yeah.
certain, and I was young back then, and so you learn
Yeah.
as you grow, you expand your knowledge and your knowledge about yourself, your self-awareness.
You widen your peripheral.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you got a lot of history behind you, and I have a lot of behind mine. I'm looking forward to sharing some stories with you offline
Yeah.
when
Maybe
we
we can
get
have
a
a
chance
ukulele
to sit
session
down.
together.
There you go. I'll bring my guitar, you bring your ukulele, and we can
Yeah.
sing Kumbaya.
I have a really cool tremolo pedal. I don't know if you're a fan of surf guitar,
Like the surf guitar, like Beatles. I mean,
like Dick Dale.
Beach Boys. Oh, Dick
No,
Dale.
more Dick
Okay,
Dale-ish.
gotcha.
Yeah. You could
Well,
actually live
I
down the street from here.
Ah, I didn't know that. I in my band we played some Beach Boy songs and stuff like that, but
That's
I was
cool.
more of a classic rock and blues. I was more
Nice.
into the Eagles,
Uh-huh.
Foreigner, Grand Funk Railroad, stuff like that back in the day.
That's cool.
I'm a product of the 70s, right? I was born in the 60s, and the 70s is the sweet spot. And that's where the music is, 60s, 70s, and the beginning part of the 80s. That was the sweet spot of music, at least in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know,
I I think my favorite old time band is the Doors. And
the
my dad's a
Doors, yeah.
big Beatles fan. So we always argue about that. I think the Beatles were like, it's like the typical, like the kid who goes to the high school whose dad donates the most money and he's kind of like bred to be successful. But the
Yeah.
Doors is like the guy who hangs out like underneath the rafters and he kind of just, he stamps his own identity.
We did in my band, we did Baby Light My Fire.
Nice.
But we did a few Beatles songs too, right?
Yeah.
Get Back, While My Guitar Gently Weeps, Hey Jude. But those were just sprinkled and mixed in our sets and stuff like that. Um, you know, fun days. Those are behind me now, but I still remember them well. And my
Yeah.
guitar is sitting right there.
Yeah. I have a
And
ukulele in my truck in
no,
case of
there you go.
emergency.
Well, listen, I want to thank you so much for coming and spending some time with Lisa and myself on the Biz Show today. I
Thanks,
appreciate
Bear.
that.
Thanks for having me.
And it's great to kind of get an insight into what makes George tick, where George came from, and where you're heading to next, right? And I
Yeah.
think Lisa is and Bella Properties is going to have a great asset with you.
I really appreciate that, Bear. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to The Biz Show. As always, you can reach out to Lisa or Barry on the Biz Show Facebook group or at investchoir.com. Thank you, and have a great day.